Good evening, everyone. Thank you for braving the weather, right? Rain. And the topic for tonight is, it's really about what do engineering or technical leaders need to succeed in startups or young companies as they grow, right? So you're all, most of us are familiar with stories. Well, you have a few folks, they start in a garage, they build a product, and then it becomes successful. Then at some point, they got replaced, right? Why is that, right? Why can't they run the company successfully? What are the traits of a successful leader, right? Is it, maybe it depends on the stage of the company, what else? So tonight, we'll have a panel that will try to give some insights to address this from different angles. So what we have is angle from a young startup who went through these pains and who is actually working on a solution to help other startups in this area. We also have a panelist who is involved with the accelerator program that incubates, that actually grows, that is called Creative Studio, creates new startups. And they certainly have experience with what does it really take to create effective team on those startups. So we want to hear that perspective as well. Even big companies, they actually need to nurture innovation and how you do it, right? Because they say that startups are engines of growth. Big companies want to do it. They want to tap into this source of growth. And they have these entrepreneurship. They have these like internal incubators. And they also have to look into what is the profile of folks that they will try to bring on those teams, how to really make it successful, right? So that's another angle that we'll have. And then often as companies grows, they need help, right? Because they build product, but processes, everything else is broken. So they try to help, they need to get help to bridge the gap, right? So to fix what's broken in the engineering and to find right people to kind of like take it forward. So we also have someone who can help us better understand from inside, who's actually been involved with these things. So unfortunately, we lost one panelist, the last minute conflict. Arun was a VC, general partner in one of the VC companies. He couldn't join us, but I expect that we'll have a good time tonight. So let me actually start with, these are the panelists for tonight. So Aaron couldn't join us, but I know that he was listed on a website, so I included him here. So let me actually start with the introduction for a panelist. So the first, I would like Peter, who is actually head of innovation here for SAP, Silicon Valley Innovation Center for SAP. And he certainly can share with us insights into what SAP is doing and how are they actually managing this like a talent and these issues. So what I would like is actually now Peter to give his opening remarks to tell us a little bit more about what SAP is doing. And then the format is, let me just tell you a bit more things, and I hope that you can hear me, right?
Except the camera can't.
Okay.
And maybe you actually need to talk.
Oh, okay, so that's right. So I thought that I can speak, I can project well enough. So the format will be, we'll do introductions, opening remarks. So you will have pictures over there, you can read it. It's also on a website, so you can later when we have a networking after the panel, you know who is who, it helps. And then we'll start with questions. I will start with a few questions, but I expect that there will be more questions from the audience. So I will hold back with my questions and defer to what the audience wants. And then at the end, I will give opportunity also to panelists to bring maybe some additional topics that they feel deserve essentially another round of discussion. So that's the format, right? So now let's go on. Now, Peter, second time.
Super, thank you. Thanks for having me here. It's great. It's really nice being with you guys and sharing a little bit what I do, what SAP is doing. I first want to go a little bit into my background. So my background, as you might hear in my accent, originally from Germany, so Berlin area, and I studied IT systems engineering over there. So I'm a software engineer by education. Did that for a while over there, went through my degrees, and then I realized, you know what, maybe purely engineering is not my thing, right? So then I went into what we call at the D school in Potsdam, but also we have a D school here in Stanford, design thinking. So went through a design thinking course as well. I will allude to that a little bit more later, what that is. So I also have a background in design, if you want so, user research, and then eventually I moved over to Silicon Valley into a team that is the Innovation Center for SAP. And SAP has realized early on, and how many people maybe know SAP? More than usual. That's good, because usually when I ask that question, no one raises the hand, because we're an enterprise company, been around for 45 years, and we have been facing heavily the problem of the innovator's dilemma. We have had the luck that our founder, Hasso Plattner, or one of the founders, Hasso Plattner, has been around and has been pushing innovation. He's really our Steve Jobs, if you want to think of it, for SAP, and he's been constantly pushing us towards new frontiers. But yeah, now he's 76 years old. He can't do that forever, and so therefore we created the Innovation Center, the first one in Potsdam, where I was one of the early members. And the Innovation Center in Potsdam was the starting point for a whole network around the globe. So we have 5 innovation centers around the globe, and the main focus is really to overcome this innovator's dilemma for SAP and realize what is actually next, right? We were identified or called out by the Wall Street Journal just recently as the anti-disruption office of SAP, right? That's what we're doing. We're trying to prevent SAP from getting disrupted from outside. So we're trying to drive organic innovation from inside and try to disrupt our own businesses, our own lines of businesses, our own industries from within, and bring new technologies, new growth businesses, if you want so, into SAP, right? So with that, we're basically like a mini startup within SAP and trying to drive the organic innovation, and especially out of Silicon Valley. It is important to note, of course, that's the mother of all innovation, I would say, and I think that's hard to argue. We have a special role and really scouting and finding out what SAP has to do in order to stay innovative and to stay also ahead of the curve, ahead of the competition. That is something that is really, really my role, and we have roughly 100 people in the Innovation Center here in Silicon Valley that I'm responsible for, and a high degree of engineers, of course, data scientists, and designers, and business developers, right? And now you might ask, actually, what are the skills that you're looking for? And that goes back a little bit to the definition of innovation for me. For me, innovation is basically creativity plus execution, right? I think we can argue, and maybe Henry is, who thinks is good at execution? At executing things, right? Okay, good. Who thinks he's really good at creativity, or who's really creative? A little less people, right? But for me, it comes down to execution is problem solving, right? We're all good and lectured by our education oftentimes in university, high school, and even earlier schools, that we have to focus on the problem solving. But we rarely get taught on problem finding, where then creativity comes into play, right? How do you find the relevant problem? And this is, for me personally, and just to kick it off, that's one of the most interesting traits in a person. How good are they in problem finding? Because one important thing that we also see with our customers that we work with a lot in order to drive these innovations is finding the right problem that has the most meaning and value to them and has actually a big business impact for them, but also eventually, of course, for us as a software vendor. We want to build products that are meaningful not just to our customers, but also to us, and generate revenue. But this is something that I'm looking for in my team that is very multidisciplinary, very diverse. I'm looking for people that are innovative in the sense that they're good in execution, and you find many of those, but also really good at creativity. So that's a little bit my introduction, and thanks for having me here, and I'm looking forward to this panel.
Excellent. Thank you, Peter. So, next, Huang. Okay, I practiced. Kwang actually will bring interesting perspective because it's a dual role. So I know he will say a little bit more, but when I was looking who would be kind of like, what would be the right mix of panelists for this one, I wanted to really make sure that we have right angles, so it's not kind of like a one-sided view. So Kwang will actually serve a dual role because he is going through this as a young startup and also doing something to help future startups. So let's hear more.
I'm going to stand up. Maybe I can go to quickly. Hi everyone. So my name is Kwang. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a startup named Plato. And so about 2 years ago, I was out of college, and I started to begin to build a company named, it was another company than Plato. And we started to hire our first engineer. We started to manage our first engineer, and I think we are really bad at it. Like we screwed up a lot. We made a lot of mistakes, and we didn't have enough support and enough mentors who could have helped us along the way. And I guess that this is something that we experience ourselves as something that is really a pain, and it can be really harmful not only for us but also for the direct reports and the engineers that you are leading. And we didn't realize that we had a higher responsibility to manage them and to lead them properly. So with my 3 co-founders, we have been accepted to Y Combinator. So next to here. We came from France, so we flew from France with 3 engineers. So we were 6 of us. And after Y Combinator, so with YC, we received some funding so we could hire those engineers. And after YC, we lost all of them. So we lost the 3 developers, and we were, with my 3 co-founders, only the 3 of us. So what's the point receiving money? What's the point having investors if you cannot retain the team, if you cannot retain your best engineers? So that is my personal experience. For many different reasons, 1 year ago we pivoted to the company named Plato now, so same co-founders but different product. And we are solving this exact same mission of helping engineers become better engineering leaders, so at any stage, and in particular startups, CTOs and co-founders, but we also help more experienced engineering leaders. I wanted to show you really quickly.
Which one?
This one first.
This one.
The story. No, this one.
This one.
Yes.
Okay.
So at Y Combinator, what has been really interesting and really helpful was to meet with mentors and partners who helped us in giving advice. And the most interesting part was that, can you go to the, I got it. And the most interesting part was that we could talk to people who have been in your shoes before. So CEOs, startups, founders. And as founders, talking to founders has been the most useful thing. And what about we can provide this to any engineering leaders also. So provide what we learn at YC to any engineering leaders to help them become better engineering leaders. So what we did is we started to reach out to a couple of great engineering leaders. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So we started to reach out to a couple of great engineering leaders. They are all directors, engineering, VP of engineering, engineering managers of great companies, and they all accepted to dedicate their time every single week to be matched with someone else who they can help. So, for example, we have the co-founder of Box, we have the VP of engineering at Lyft, the first engineer at Box, the head of machine learning at Workday, etc. So all of them. So we have about like 150 of them. And they all accepted to dedicate their time every single week to be matched with a mentee and help them when they have any challenge. So the interesting part is when I have a challenge, I want to be matched with someone who has experienced the exact same challenge. So what we did is we gathered some stories of their past, of those engineering leaders, and we had a database of hundreds and hundreds of stories. Actually, Chris here is one of the mentors also in the platform, and he introduced me to participate to this panel. Can you? Okay. This one is good now. And so we have this community of mentors giving the time every single week, and we have also the database of stories, and we built a product. So it's a product that is based in Slack. You talk to us, to Plato, in direct message, and we are going to be here to qualify what is your challenge about. So let's say Florian is an engineering manager. Florian talked to Plato in direct message, and Plato is controlled by us, and we are going to ask some relevant questions about what's your challenge about. Can you tell me more? What do you think? Why do you think it's a problem? What have you tried so far? Etc. etc. And when we understand the problem in 5 minutes of chat, we usually can match with what we call the story. So I showed you before. So we have a database of hundreds of stories, and we can match with a similar story that we found relevant. And if you are interested, you can book a 30-minute call with that mentor, and you have 30-minute call booked in a few clicks. So that's what the product we built. So then you have a channel, so you can talk with the mentor, and you can chat and join a 30-minute Zoom conversation with the mentor. So that's really on-demand mentor. Of course, sometimes you really love talking to a mentor, and you can talk to the same mentor over and over again, so you can create a better relationship also with that mentor. And you can talk to as many mentors as we want in that platform, with the same mentor and with other mentors too, depending on the type of challenge you have. And also what we saw is when I started as an engineering leader, I had a lot of unknowns. So I could not ask a bot about, I have a problem about that, because I didn't know I have this problem in particular. So I have a unknown. And so what we found interesting also is that you could receive regularly some stories, and you didn't ask for it, but according to your profile, according to your number of years of experience, if you are in a small or a big company, you will receive some different stories. You can read the story, and if you found it interesting, you can meet with the mentor to receive some advice about about something you are experiencing at the moment. So this is the product we built. So the mission is kind of still linked to what we are doing tonight. So I'm happy to help and answer any questions and talk more about the story and how not to lose great engineers.
Thank you.